Hi.
All right. So Kristen said that she'd be a little bit late. She'll let us know if something. She said to go ahead and get started. So I guess we'll go ahead and do that now that we've got everybody. So hi, I'm Elizabeth. I help write stuff for Temple of Geek, mostly Doctor Who stuff, but I'm also a big Star Wars fan. Got into it quite a bit over the last year when everything was shut down. And tonight we are going to talk about Bad Batch. So I'll let the other two who are here introduce themselves.
My name is Monica, and I am the editor-in-chief for Temple of Geek, and I dabble in a little bit of cosplay photography, but mainly I just kind of run the back-end stuff over at Temple of Geek, and I love all things geek, and right now I'm very into the Bad Batch, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Hey everyone, I am Maddie. I am the deputy editor and writer for Temple of Geek. I also host Cosplay Connection. I am a huge fan of Star Wars, and I'm really excited that we get to talk about the Bad Batch today.
No, and my internet seems to be holding up, so this is great.
Hooray!
Yeah, so this is our reschedule from yesterday because we had technical difficulties, but
All right, so before we get started, I just want to remind everybody we are going to be talking about all of Bad Batch. So if you are not caught up with the season finale that aired on Friday, you might want to, find something else to do and come back and watch this later. We'll post this again later, but general spoiler warning, get that out there now. So to start, what did you guys just think, like, overall of the series?
I really enjoyed it. I think I went a little too hard on the fan theories that I, threw out there for myself. But I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Overall, for an animated series, I think I'd give it about an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I really loved it, a lot more than I was actually expecting to. I really did enjoy the Clone Wars, and that final season of the Clone Wars was really incredible. And then to see this group of, ragtag clones, the Clone Force 99, get their own series, I had no idea what to expect. I went in it with zero expectations, and I'm really glad that I did so, as I was blown away multiple times, and it was really well done.
Yeah, I really liked it too. It was just weird because with the Clone Wars, you kind of knew where everybody was going to have to wind up just because the movies exist,
Mm-hmm.
Bad Batch, nobody really knew what the plot exactly was going to be. We knew that it was going to be, immediately post-Republic in just the very beginning days of the Empire. But I feel like even now still we don't quite know where their story is going to end up, even though we know that there's going to be a season 2. So it was very interesting because you never knew what would happen, which I thought was interesting, But,
Yeah, absolutely. And then one thing that I think plays into that is the fact that these are brand new characters. They're not established characters the way you had it in Clone Wars, where you have Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin, and then you get some new ones like Rex and Ahsoka and things like that. This is like pretty much completely new characters with cameos
right.
from different things,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty much this is like new territory for Star Wars, as far as like the way I see it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely an interesting era for them to kind of, explore, because they've done so much with the prequels, and they did a lot, with like Rebels, with like kind of just before the original trilogy, but some more world building for them, which is always fun. But speaking of the King, did you guys have a particular favorite that you were excited to see? A character from elsewhere in the Star Wars universe from?
I loved seeing Cad Bane, and I think a lot of us did. When he showed up, I'm pretty sure I, along with the collective Star Wars fandom, gasped and yelled loudly, like, "Oh my God!" Like, then that's like when, like, I was legitimately freaking out, because I was like, this is not good. Like, clearly, like, this is gonna just lead to a ton of issues for this group, you know, but it was really, really cool to see him back.
For sure. Yeah, I did not expect him to show up at all. Like,
Mm-mm.
it was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. But yeah, I didn't expect him to show up at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think I had any kind of favorites in particular, but I did enjoy the tie-ins. I do love the world building. I love how Star Wars can tie into so many things. I like seeing Rex again because
Mm-hmm.
you know I just have a soft spot in my heart for Rex. But like as far as like a favorite, I don't think that I had one. I think I was more focused on the Bad Batch characters, the squad, Omega, and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I did love all the tie-ins to the Mandalorian, to like Clone Wars, to like so many different things. Like it just it must be really fun to write Star Wars stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honorable mention is Hera for sure. Seeing young Hera in those episodes and befriending Omega was really cool. And then I was like, oh man, but we didn't like see Omega in Rebels. And I mean, I understand because I'm sure she's got her own stuff going on.
Well,
You know.
also she didn't exist before then. So.
That's true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say Hera was definitely my favorite. You know, it was a bit like I didn't mind that they kind of like, you know, her introduction episode was basically like the Bad Batch showed up for like what, like 2 minutes in that first episode, but they tied it all together really, really well. And it was a lot of fun seeing baby Hera and baby Kanan.
And Chopper.
I was like, like so many people's reaction was like, oh, baby's criminal.
Yep, exactly.
I was like, oh, baby's first war crime.
It looks like Kristen is here now.
Oh, yay. Let's see if we can get her in.
Maybe we can ask her really quick, you know, about what she thought.
Let's see. All right. I've accepted it, so we gotta come on.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
I absolutely love seeing Hera and Chopper. That, you know, because I watched Clone Wars and then I watched Rebels, you know, right after each other last year when everything was shut down, you know, because I had nothing else to do. It was really exciting to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, when I watched the first episode, I remember being so excited to see Kanan, and then I immediately remembered, oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like I had no idea who he was when I started watching Bad Batch because I hadn't watched Rebels yet. And when everyone was like, oh my gosh, we got to see Caleb Dune, and I was like, who? Like I clearly missed a key player here. And then I looked it up and it was like, okay, this is my sign to watch Rebels. And then I binged the entire series and was like, okay, great.
But I think the nice thing is that you don't need to watch everything to understand what's going on. Like he wasn't like a key player. He was just like a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
And most characters when they came in, they were just cameos. They weren't like, they weren't anything you really needed to know. You could grasp it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something. Hi, Kristen.
Finish your thought, Monica.
Oh no, I was just saying that like the Mandalorian, Bad Batch succeeded in, you know, you could be completely new to Star Wars and there was enough explanation and enough kind of understanding that you didn't need to know who all the little cameos were. Most of that I felt was a little bit of fan service, but for the most part, if you're a brand new fan, you just came into it, you didn't need any background on it other than, you know, Order 66.
Right.
For the most part, I think we did a good job of making sure that anybody that did show up, they gave enough of an explanation, or you could figure it out enough with the context clues, you know, what was going on. You know?
Right, absolutely. Kristen, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I'm Kristen. I am a writer here on Temple of Geek. I have, Monica and I have actually talked about Bad Batch before on the Temple of Geek podcast. Big Star Wars fan. To those who did tune in yesterday with our technical difficulties, this is the same shirt because I was like, I'm just wearing it for the live day. Since I can't wear it on my Zoom calls for work, I am wearing it for my Instagram lives.
Yes.
But I have to say, I came in just in time as I was logging on. You guys were talking about Baby Hera and Chopper's first war crime, and I was like, yes, I am ready. I came at the perfect time.
So what was Elizabeth was asking us what our favorite cameo character kind of like drop in was. What was yours?
Yeah, I think you guys not got it. Because I'm a big Rebels fan, I think first of all the animated series. So seeing Caleb and seeing I was completely surprised to see Hera and Chopper show up later. And so that was really exciting for me. Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
Let's see. Oh my goodness. All right. So yeah, we were talking about Hera and Chopper, all the little cameos, and yeah, I do think they did a really good job. Even if you hadn't seen a lot of the other stuff, that you still got an explanation as to who everybody was. I do kind of wish that they had, like, I know we got a lot of them in that first arc of the last season of Clone Wars, but I do wish we had gotten to know the Bad Batch like a little bit more early. I mean, it's there, but you know, I don't know, but it's an interesting concept, and I wish they had this idea a little bit earlier on in Clone Wars. It does, I mean, they kind of did with 99, who was the original clone who didn't quite turn out as expected, but you know, Omega apparently is older than the rest of them. I think it would have this idea earlier. It would have been interesting to see. I don't know.
Yeah, it is very interesting that she was very similar with Boba, and how they didn't like increase the aging process. How they like both are the aging correctly, I guess you could say. So you know, her being naturally, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So so for her to be a child, but also to have, you know, live a longer life is very interesting.
That's I hadn't quite thought about that. That's a really good point. That yeah, technically she's had a longer life, years on metaphorical Earth than they have. And certainly in Camino and just being locked up, you know, essentially. In a way. Yeah.
Monica says maybe we will get a Bad Batch flashback in season 2.
That would be fun, you know.
That would be very interesting.
It would be, I think, a detraction from, I think, like normal Star Wars, because in Star Wars we typically don't get any sort of flashbacks. I feel like the first time we really got one might have been in Rogue One, and even then they're really quick. So that would be interesting. I think that would be interesting to see. Although I also like the idea of like using Star Wars in like the larger universe and like utilizing the comics and utilizing the you know, the expanded universe of short stories, etc. Like I think that could be really fruitful to mine.
Yeah. I think, you know, because we aren't tied down to a specific story, because we don't know where they're ultimately, unlike the Clone Wars. There's a lot that they could have for, and I'm very interested to see where they go with it. Because they could join the Rebels, they could continue to fit out and just survive. But it'll be interesting to see where they go there. How old are the Bad Batch? I'm wondering that too, you know, because they definitely seem like they have been a team for a while now, but you know,
right, because they weren't really introduced to us until the end of season 7, but they were, like you said, they were already an established group of clones. And so we don't really know. I mean, were they around, you know, when all the other clones were created and started out, and we just didn't see them, which is what I'm going to assume. But I think it'll be very interesting to see where season 2 will take us. Monica's saying they counted a lot of missions, you know, when they had the lines, and so that was a lot. That is a lot of missions.
Yeah.
And it's only what, a 3-year war or something, technically?
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't
I
think
don't.
it was.
I'm not an expert in the Star Wars timeline, so I don't know exactly
No,
how long the Clone Wars last. But it's not super long.
no, I don't think so. I don't
Yeah.
know. Anyone in the comments want to help us with how long the Clone Wars were?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Omega will end up like Jyn Erso fighting for the rebels. I feel like she's definitely gonna grow up to be a little freedom fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. She's on that track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think the question is, well, what
I
happens to the like? It is a big galaxy though, so it's one of those like when I wonder like, oh, well, how come we didn't hear about them when Luke was doing his thing? It's like, well, it's a big galaxy, so there's
Yeah.
definitely they're in some other corner, I'm sure. Clone Wars
Mm-hmm.
lasted 3 years. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah. 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 There's a lot of directions they could go with it for sure. It's the one very, very early on. I did see like one person be like, "What if Omega is asthma?" Like, oh, if that would work, and I don't think it would.
No, I don't think so. I don't think she would have been the one to turn.
No.
It'll be interesting. I'm very
It
curious.
would break my heart. If so.
Yes, it would be very, it would something really tragic, like horrible would have to happen to her for her to
And
be
not
that
like she's been
character.
through some tragedy already.
Right, yeah, but she
But,
still has
yeah.
that positive,
Yeah, she's still got that
happy
innocent
attitude.
Yeah.
Willing to save lives and risk her own, for her
Yeah.
droid of all things,
I need to talk about that later. I have a lot of feelings about Aether.
I cried over a droid, y'all. Like
I did! I was like, they can't kill him. They better. I was like, as silent tears are rolling down, I was like, you're not going to do this to me, Disney. You can't do this to me.
because that finale, I think I posted, I think I talked to Elizabeth a little bit about this, but I was like, that was one of the most stressful episodes of a show that I've watched in a really long time. I feel like with that finale, you were constantly on edge, because the way that the episode before ended, it was like, well, are they all going to die here? But they can't all die because it's got renewed for season 2.
They just announced season 2.
So wait, is someone going to die? Or half of them? Like what?
Yeah.
Like what's going on here? And it was.
I almost wish that they had held off on the season 2 announcement until after we'd seen the finale.
But at the same time, I feel like they can't. I mean, I feel like they could kill off the Bad Batch, but I'm like, you can't kill off Omega. I feel like that would be a little too.
That's how I felt. I was like, she's a child who was
I was like, this is still Disney Plus. Like, I don't think.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think we're gonna go there exactly.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, I really hope she doesn't get separated from them at the end of season 2.
One thing that I kind of wanted though, like at the end of season 1, one thing that I thought that I thought was getting set up for like a hot minute, and then immediately they were all reunited. I was like, what if this ends with her and Crosshair like stuck together? And I was like, I would love that. Like, I was like, even grumpier dad, reluctant dad, like this is. I was like, I want that. So maybe at the end of season 2.
Maybe, yeah, I know, because she wanted to believe in him so much. She wanted to. She was like, no, it's chip, and then for him to be like, no, I got my chip removed. This is actually what I believe, was just so heartbreaking, especially for her.
It really was.
Yeah. And she's trying to reckon with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, because she just wants to believe in the best in like everybody she meets. More or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even the bounty hunter that was sent after her.
Yeah.
Your friend.
Yeah.
Right. I loved Fennec Shand. I loved that we got her as a good guy. Like, I was really, because when she's in The Mandalorian, you just assume that she's a villain because there's a bounty on her head, and every time Mando came into contact with someone with a bounty, they were generally not so great, but Fennec was just hired to protect Omega, and so it was really cool to be like, oh, so she was trying to protect her. So then I wonder why there was a bounty on her in Mando, which maybe we'll get a look at. I know this is like kind of off topic and way before, but like in the book of Boba, we're gonna have Fennec Shand, so we can
That'd be fun.
if she'll be what?
Huh. If Omega will show up in Book of Boba Fett, it might be interesting. Might be a little.
It
might be a little too soon, but I would like to see what I do want to know what Omega's up to, like later on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Everything that I saw, I forget if it was on TikTok or Twitter or what, but I saw somebody point out that in the original trilogy there is a base called Echo Base, which has me a little worried for Echo.
Oh no!
I know.
Why do you have to bring that up?
I know. Monica said, I love that Hunter says because we don't agree doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Or was that Tech where he said, I understand you, but I don't have to agree with you? Right?
Well, I think they both said something. Yeah, Tech said that, okay. And then Hunter did say that too. Yeah,
right. I really loved that theme. I actually wrote it down as he was saying it. I was like, oh, this is a really good quote.
Yeah.
I was like,
sorry, go on, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I thought that was like a really interesting, because when Crosshair initially said, oh, I had my chip removed, I'm like, I don't believe you, initially, but then the second part of the finale came out and I was like, oh, and that it was such an interesting, not quite twist, but I mean, I think part of it is practical because that way they will still have a character to go back to show, what the Empire's up to in season 2. But it was also just a really interesting, like, there's some interesting parallels that you could draw. Like, the Empire literally tried to kill Crosshair. They left him behind. They left him for dead. Who knows if or how soon they're actually going to come pick him up from that little platform thing.
Yeah.
He still wants to be with the Empire because he gets the power from it.
Right.
Yeah. And, like, this is the nuance that we saw with, like, Callus, too, of course. Where he has his faith shaken just a bit when he's stuck on that moon with Zeb, but he still chooses to go back. He makes that deliberate choice to be like, no, but this is what I've believed in this whole time. But it's seeded that of the like, but how much do they actually value me? Because like you said, they left Crosshair for dead. They left Callus. They moved on. They weren't ready to go back, which like Hunter and stuff, they did reiterate that. But, and I think it's really interesting that he still just, what he wants is, I think, to belong. Like, he missed his chance with his brothers. And I think that moment when he does save Omega at AZ3, everyone has their blasters on him. That he's like, I am still not trusted. I cannot go. Like, what has happened? Like, that is broken now. So I think for him in that moment, it's like, the only thing I have left is the Empire. Like, because they're not going to want me back. So I think that's something that will be interesting to see, like his development, not just, I think Callus is an easy comparison and parallel for that, but I'm also thinking a little bit of Tam from Star Wars Resistance. She felt that betrayal from Kaz, and that's kind of what put her over the edge to not even listen to, the side of the Resistance and pushed her a little bit further to the First Order. So, I think, it's stories that Star Wars has told, but like I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing,
right?
That these things get cycled through. Yeah.
Yeah, Monica was saying, you can't blame Crosshair for his beliefs. He was born into it, and when he did save Omega, like you were saying, they didn't trust him. I know I didn't trust him. I was like, oh, he's something bad is he, but he ended up saving her, obviously, and then you can just see the like pain in his eyes, like, I just did this great thing and you're still holding your blasters at my head, like, well, there are plenty of people in the Empire who will want me.
Yeah, I'll at least feel useful there.
Right. Yeah, but these stories are familiar in real life as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was thinking about while I was watching. I was like, ooh, but it is thing. Like I said, I think part of it is practical so that they can still go back to the Empire character
Mhm.
their eyes to go back to. And I hope they go back to him a little bit more in season, because we didn't see a whole lot of him in season 1. I think probably kind of to keep that whole surprise, I guess, of him having the chip removed a little, if we saw him work out a little bit sooner. But I definitely hope they go back to him a bit more. I'm hoping that there will maybe be kind of like Rebels, where the first season was kind of short, but the second were a bit longer. I'm hoping we'll get more episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Season.
season one was, getting to know the Bad Batch and the hardships that they're facing, which is why they didn't keep going back to Crosshair. Whereas now that we kind of have established the Bad Batch, their relationship with each other, their relationship with Omega, really their relationship with the galaxy, and with Sid, is that her name? Sid, the person that they were for, with Sid.
Yeah.
And so now with season 2, we can kind of see the repercussions of Camino being gone, and now Crosshair has made his choice. We'll
and I think Rampart too. Like they're setting him up to be a much bigger big bad, and I think that'll be interesting to see. I think like the tension between him and Crosshair more so. That's what I expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did feel like he was going to be an important player in season 2 as we saw more and more of him. Maybe he'll
went on.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like the Thrawn of Bad Batch. That's kind of the vibes that I was getting from him.
I could see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just like I said, we don't know where their story ends when he this. Because like let's see them kind of like join up with Rex and start building the early resistance to the Empire. I don't quite think that that's where they're going with it. I mean, it might be where they wind up eventually, but I think even though they've seen what the Empire does, I think they're still just, we want to stay out for the most part. That's,
yeah.
they just, right now they survive, but it'll be interesting to see, what else.
Right. Like the way that I kind of saw their little group was like, they might not necessarily belong to like a rebel faction, but they'll kind of bounce around the galaxy helping people who need it. They're going to probably stay pretty low, because every time Sid had them do a job, it was to make her some money, and there were some pretty sketchy things happening, but they ultimately helped someone. Like there was like a reward for, helping someone or, that sort of thing. So I feel like that's kind of their center
their
of
shtick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like when they the job to go get the tactical droid, even though it would have been really good payday for them, they still let I have forgotten their names, the sisters,
Trace and Rafa,
Jason, because
it was really cool to see them too.
Yeah, that was fun. I know. Yeah, one thing I did see pointed out by somebody, which was a good point, is most of the cameos that people were complaining about tended to be the female characters, which was unfortunate, especially because having so many cameos, because the majority of the main characters in this show are all voiced by one guy, and they're all dudes. Female character in here too, but I liked that kind of a lot of the cameos were, if not super popular, but at least
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. We missed a comment. Jack says they should have Hunter have to sacrifice himself to save Omega, because Hunter is the father figure, and it could make her character evolve a little more if there's a season 3. I would cry my eyes out.
Yeah, I feel like if there was like a Bad Batch member that would have to die, that wouldn't be Crosshair tied to a redemption, I think it would be Hunter. But I would sob uncontrollably.
I would be a wreck.
But also, I'm like, but don't kill the droids. That's my main. I would be inconsolable if you kill a droid.
It's funny.
I will eventually get over.
Yeah,
A human character, but
leave
a
it to
droid, leave them alone.
yeah, but leave it to Star Wars to make us feel so emotionally attached to robots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
Hi Midwave.
I know.
People complained
Yeah,
about the cameos. Weird.
Monica reminded me to look at the questions, which I thought was a thing. All right. So, let me see. Season 2 question: do you think it would be the right time for Vader's appearance? I don't know. I feel like it might,
I don't know when the right time would be.
Yeah.
Because he was like a cliffhanger to, if I'm remembering right, he was like the cliffhanger baddie for Rebels.
Rebels season 1. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, honestly, I really thought Cody was going to show up at the end of the first season of Bad Batch. I thought he was going to be like, because everybody was like, where's Cody? You know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, unless they are with Rex, I don't know. And even then, Rex still doesn't know who Vader is, even in Rebels.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would definitely be interested. See more of the I cannot think, the Inquisitors might be interesting too, but I don't know. Unless the kind of
go after them.
Well, because there's no Jedi in the Bad Batch so far. They kind of did away with that the first episode. You know, when Caleb escaped. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see Vader at all in this. I feel like there's other bad guys to explore. I almost don't want, I know this sounds really weird now that I'm thinking about it, but I almost don't want to see Vader just because this is such a new world at Monica. I would like to see Vader. And I'm such a huge Vader fangirl. Like, he's like my favorite villain in Star Wars. But I think because the Bad Batch, like, yeah, it's tying into a bunch of different, you know, storylines. It's kind of its own thing. So, like, to have, what's his name? The Empire dude. I know we just talked about him. You know, him like Rampart, yeah. Like him rising to power, you know, seeing some other bad getting in their way that's from the Empire. You know, but this is like there's no Jedi in this show. You know, this is just the clones and the people they're helping. And I know a lot of people were like, well, what if Omega is Force sensitive? And at first I was like, ooh, that could be interesting. But I'm like, you know what? It would be really fun to see a show where that's not the central theme. I thought Omega was going to be Force sensitive. I thought so too. Like when she was like drowning, I was like, this would be a great time to use the Force if you're Force sensitive.
I feel like they were almost setting it up and then they pulled back from it.
Yeah.
If that was the plan, or if we were just reading into it, which is 100% possible. But I have to agree with you. I don't think I want Vader in this, or at least not yet. I think for the reasons that you said, and also going back to what you said earlier about, you know, like whether or not the Bad Batch are gonna like join a cell. I feel like they're not. I mean, they are a threat in that they are like a rogue special ops unit essentially. But I feel like until they start making like a huge name for themselves, like, you know, I don't know how often like Darth Vader went after Saw Gerrera even. So like, I feel like what level of a threat would they have to be to like send in the big guns, you know, when it's like, I don't know, but I don't know what the Empire does. Who knows?
Right, exactly.
I think the other thing too. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think another thing too, are talking about how Omega might be an early thing that they're working on with the Palpatine clones. That seems like something that Vader was not aware of, at least as far as I can kind of piece together stuff. So I don't know, you know, because again, it's such a thing where we don't know where these characters are going to wind up eventually.
It's really early.
We
just
early.
Finished one season.
Yeah, and we already have these theories. I want to see a live action Rampart played by Adam Devine. He should show up in Mando then. I feel like that's where he would be in Mando season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's where he would probably end up if he was to be live action.
Yeah, what kind of clone Omega is. Yeah, because Yeah, this was a good point too, where I did see some discussion about how is he a Jango Fett clone, but you know, who knows? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do
I feel like
I
they
do
go on.
might be something to the whole Palpatine clone thing. I don't know if it'll. I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't know if they're ever going to be like super blatant about it, but I definitely think that that's a plot point, especially with how the like closing season one was. The Kamino and Doctor Who's I cannot remember being brought, essentially forced into the Empire's service. So it'll be interesting,
Right.
Yeah.
especially if he's thinking about this kind of stuff like this early on. Like, yikes, dude.
Yeah.
He's always got a plan.
Yikes, dude.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like they definitely did confirm that she is a Jango Fett
And then
clone,
Monica,
even if.
do you hope to see in
Yeah.
season? So I don't know if this one. I've got some ideas, but if you guys want to go with that.
I mean, I would love more Hera. I'm selfish. I want more Hera.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love if this, like, because as much as everybody talks about, oh, where's the Rebels sequel? I'm like, I kind of want a Rebels prequel series now, with God of Kanan and with Hera. I definitely think it would be interesting. I don't know if it would be too soon because I don't know how much of a time jump there might be between the two seasons. But I'd definitely be interested to see Zeb, and maybe they were there for what happened.
Yeah.
On Lasan or on Lasan. Might be interesting, and then we could see Callus too. Maybe. I also keep thinking about like, what if they make it to I cannot do names tonight, but what if they make it to the Outer Rim and they're in this little city and you see just like this little blue-haired baby starts like pulling something from like a little.
I mean, I would love to see Ezra's parents. I want to know a lot about Ezra's parents, like in general. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebels sequel, yes, but also really Rebels prequel with the Bridgers, please and thank you. Get on it, Disney.
You all clearly thought about this way more than I did because I don't know what to answer.
I'm just piggybacking off of Elizabeth.
I feel like with Rebels, I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion or whatever, but I feel like with Rebels, not knowing who Ezra's parents were made it that much more interesting. And then kind of getting the little pieces where like, they helped with this person and like, oh, we know who you are, Ezra, because of so and so. So like, I think seeing their parents, maybe a quick like, here, almost like a little half an episode or whatever, like they did with Hera's parents or whatever, if they're on Lothal for whatever reason, would be kind of cool. But I don't need Bad Batch to shift into a Rebels prequel. I like that the Bad Batch is its own.
Yeah, that it has its own
little
self-contained.
Thing. Yeah. And Nala Se is the Camino that they kidnapped, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The scientist person. I know. I was like, oh no, they have plans on what is she gonna do for them, because they're not cloning, right? Or are they? Yeah. Oh, Monica, but collecting people like Hera, saving a valuable asset like Omega, having Rex and people like that as an ally, they would be a threat. I feel like they would be a threat if the Bad Batch made a name for themselves, but I feel like they're still like, we need to chill. Like, we need to like not be in the spotlight. That's why we're in this not so great city doing work with Sid, trying to stay on the down low as major as possible.
Yeah. And Monica makes a great point.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Monica makes a great point about similarities between this and Rogue One, with Nala Se being a scientist and being like coerced to work for the Empire, just like Galen Erso was. And I think that's like a really great parallel. I mean, because we know that Nala Se is already she already went off book to protect Omega in some way. That it's like, well, what else is she going to do to protect Omega? That, I think whatever complicated relationship there is, that, Omega didn't have any freedom. Like, she didn't really get much, but there is still enough of that loss that she's like, this is still what I knew, you know, that I think that'll be really interesting to explore. That, like, Nalase doesn't necessarily have to be a good person, but, you know, she has some like good qualities. She does care about her effective daughter, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I will be really interested to see where that angle is going to go.
Yeah.
What
absolutely.
happens to her.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of places it can go because, like I keep saying, we don't
Yeah.
where they end up. Ultimately, you know. So yeah, as much fun as it would be, then like Boba Fett or you know something else, really want to know until we actually see the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Still have
it's
a
like
year.
it's coming out next year. Is that when it's coming out?
I
Season 2?
assume. I assume.
Which
I
we have
hope.
plenty
I don't
of
know if I
time
can wait
to
longer than that.
right, but we have Book of Boba Fett
Lot of Star
coming
Wars
and other projects coming. So
That's true. Yeah.
do you think Nalase just cares?
Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, that true. Just
Oh, yeah.
just cares about her as a daughter or more as a life's work thing. You know, I
think
feel
a bit
like
of both.
yeah, I was gonna say like it's you know this is my greatest creation kind of a thing, but also you know you do grow a little attached, you know, to those things, and she did try to keep her protected, and you know I don't know, but it because then she said a bounty hunter after the Bad Batch, so it's like they were willing to hurt other people for her. I don't know. I feel like as a scientist, you don't want to see your life's work destroyed versus actually caring. Yeah, maybe it's more of a, this is my life's work. I don't want it destroyed because I was going to use this to do something else. You know?
Yeah.
But then I feel like it also comes down to why was Omega created? Sorry, what were you saying, Elizabeth? I think I talked over you. Or there was a delay. No, well, I feel like the question of like why was Omega created? How come she wasn't, you know, aged the way the others? What is her special ability? Like, why is she just kind of there since they lost Boba? Like, do they just need one that's kind of naturally aging to maybe mine for a future DNA? I don't know. So yeah, I'm curious. I am very interested in Nalase's character.
Yeah, I don't trust her either, Monica.
Again, I don't think she's a good person, but
yeah, but she's still being coerced by the Empire, and I honestly I think if it is, you know, paralleling Rogue One, maybe she'll do what she's told, but like mess it up a little bit, you know, put in like here's a fail safe for whatever I just did in case you need to stop it kind of a thing. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because another thing we kind of saw how there were a bunch of different big projects that people were working on in the Empire, you know, with the TIE fighters, with Thrawn, and then Death Star. So it'll be interesting to see if like some other big projects that they're
yeah, her name, maybe it's a clue. And it's so funny because I did see this meme video where Boba, I think it was using the DuckTales, where he yells, I could have been Turbo, but it was Boba Fett yelling, I could have been Alpha, because he was the first one, right? But you know, Omega's name does need the what?
If we'll see
You were
Boba
cutting in
at
and
all in this whole story.
no.
Yeah, I don't
know what he's up to.
Did we get closure for him? Did we get closure for him in the Clone Wars? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't care for Boba much, so I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Him as a child makes me a little bit crazy, but Boba Fett is my favorite Star Wars character, as I have his emblem as a giant tattoo on my leg. So I enjoy adult Boba, but tiny Boba did kind of get on my nerves a little bit in the Clone Wars series. So
I mean, to be fair, there's no space juvie apparently, and they throw him in like a maximum security prison with everybody.
yes.
I was like, of course not. You got some things you gotta figure out, but
right, yeah. Yeah, Monica, maybe that's why she's so valuable. She's the last of something. It's possible, maybe, you know, because she's older than the Bad Batch, so they weren't created at the same time then, right? But the way she was cloned was possibly different than the way they were cloned, and so, you know, that experiment of Omega could have been like, oh, here, this worked. This is the end. This worked. Now, you know, I don't know. It will be very interesting. Yeah. Or we're thinking way too much into it and they just liked the name Omega. That's just her name.
Well, that and like, I think knowing that they were made in Nalice's private lab, that doesn't seem to be common knowledge at all. So like, did she pitch the idea for Clone Force 99? Like what was, you know, or did they kind of find out about Omega and she's like, oh crap, now I need to like come up with a new use for clones or this lab? Like that yeah, there's some stuff there to mine, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe caught out and they're like,
she might be the last pure sample. I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that as a
that's
I could see that as a very real possibility. I just love the uncle relationship, especially with Wrecker. I feel like Hunter is my favorite, but it was followed closely by Wrecker, who was just like the fun uncle for Omega, you know, like carrying her on his back. And and they were just so sweet. And then like, you know, the building father-daughter relationship with Hunter, and you know, it's very sweet. And there were several moments where I cried happy tears. Because like, they're just, look at them.
Can't they just be happy?
They're just so, right? Like, but it's Dave Filoni, so no one gets a happy
It's going to be heartbreak.
We're all going to be yelling like Kenobi, but we're all going to be yelling Filoni, like, at the end of all of this. Because that's just... fist in the air, but we love him anyway. We continue to come back to his shows because he's such a fantastic writer and has such amazing skills in creating these Star Wars worlds. But it's like, come on, like, can't someone just be happy? Can't they just ride off into the binary sunset and just the end, and they all lived happily ever after?
Oh, is that too much to ask?
You know, because I remember everybody being like so worried, you know, when we only had the news of one season. Everybody's like, oh, are they going to get Rogue One? Are they going to get Rogue One? And then, oh, there's going to be season 2. Like, I'm so worried about that possibility.
Yes.
It's a valid concern.
You know.
Yes. Wrecker likes kids, even with Caleb. He was doting on him. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's definitely the fun uncle. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've covered quite a lot. I mean, you know, there's, you know, I think they did a good job they definitely set up a lot in season 1, but there's still a lot of questions and a lot of unknowns that
so many.
I think more than enough to do for season 2 and hopefully keep going, you know. It'll be very interesting to see where they go. I do wonder at what point they got for season 2 though, because it was a bit of a cliffhanger, but I don't think it was big as a cliffhanger as I was expecting. If you know. You know?
I feel like they still needed to make sure it was going to be a hit, you know? Like, I feel like if fizzled out, they would have definitely done, you know, like Resistance, there was definitely at least another season that could have finished that story out. That I feel like it was like, it's not performing super well, so we have to end it early. So, I wonder how much that this is kind of planned out in terms of like, are they picturing like 3 seasons, 4 seasons, you know, and of course like all of that, like that 5-season thing doesn't necessarily exist in the streaming world anymore. So I don't know what that golden number is, or if they're just going to, you know, what what the story, what's important for the story. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monica's got a few more questions for us before we head out, I guess. Favorite moments from the series. I mean, again, anything with, I loved the Hera episodes. They were so good. I loved, no, it was just so sweet, but like, with like the batch themselves, just the it was just all so good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
loved, you know, it was really good. I do hope that we get to see a bit more of Omega with the clones other than just Hunter. Like we got a bit of her and Wrecker, but I would like to see her, especially her and Echo a bit more. I'd like to see.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
like seeing a bit more of them in that last couple episodes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like you said, I love the Her episode, and then like going back as far as Caleb and the heartbreak around that. But even just like all of the moments of when it's just really heartwarming and really sweet, like just the moment when they kind of unveil like Omega's room for her, and just like
Yes.
I think it was and it looks so cute.
Yes.
Who would have thought that they by Space IKEA, you know,
Yeah.
couple throw pillows, you know.
Space IKEA.
But one little thing, because she's a child and Crosshair's right, like it's not safe for her. Everyone is saying that. Get her a helmet, at least a bike helmet. Like she needs something. Just like a helmet, please, for the love.
Yes.
For the love of the Force, she needs a little bit of like, just
Some
she doesn't
sort
need
of
to be in
armor.
full-on armor, but like you gotta pad her a little bit, please.
No, I think they need to wrap her in bubble wrap and
Yeah,
just enough room for her arms to stick out for her little crossbow. But other
for
than
her
that,
bow.
like,
Yeah.
our precious bean must be protected at all costs. Like it's but I think I can't like pinpoint my favorite moments. I think that, you know, I was a sucker for the moments where, you know, Omega would tell Hunter, like, you would do the same for me when they were helping people, you know, or like, you know, just having those like sweet moments in the midst of the chaos and craziness, you know. But I can never pick favorite moments with with shows like this ever.
Yeah.
The animation in Camino Lost, yeah, it was beautiful. Like
Yeah.
it was. I feel like this whole show was just gorgeous, so pretty.
Sure.
Like animation was amazing. Omega is definitely the moral compass. Yes, I feel like she absolutely is.
Yeah.
Well, because the clones are trained to be soldiers, you know, and while the Bad Batch, you know, do question more and kind of, you know, but they ultimately, that's like what their job is. Like, no, we need to save ourselves. Let's get out of here. And Omega's like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. Let's stop and think about this.
Yeah, I feel like if they join the rebellion, I think it's going to be down to Omega being like, "Listen, we can help. We've all got these skills."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then Monica says, "Thoughts on Sid? Did you like her, or was she just a plot device?" I mean, I think, you know, definitely a bit of a plot device. Hopefully we get a little bit more of her. I did like seeing her in. I can not remember any of the episodes' names, but it was nice to see a bit more of her in that episode where
She kind of got overthrown.
that guy took over her office.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need.
That's okay. I don't remember him either, but he was like a crime
Yeah.
boss.
I was like,
guy.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but
Yeah, I can see it. I can see the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I liked her as a plot device, if that makes sense. Like having her be the one who's like sending them out on missions and like that's like their home base kind of a thing. You know, and she protected them even though she was like, I just care about my money. But, you know, I feel like she did have a soft spot,
Right.
especially when Omega showed how good she was at her at the game.
Poker.
And yeah, again, it was just about the money, but you could see like she had like that, okay, kid, okay, all right, you're not so bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder where Gregor is. Oh.
Yeah, the
Oh.
animation was truly gorgeous. The way they lit the episodes, yeah, was really cool.
Yeah, the bow was,
Just
I
gorgeous.
did love the bow. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool for her. I did see some people initially thought maybe she'd gotten it from Dathomir, but whatever. You know.
Oh yeah, they have similar, yeah.
Yeah, because I think right before Bad Batch started, I had been playing Fallen Order. Oh, that'd be cool, but then I was like, it's not quite the right color.
Yeah, yeah. We can have a whole separate discussion on that because I have a lot of feelings. So many.
I know I was a little like, oh, Baraka, and then no big.
I know. I was like, are we gonna see like a sad broken cow? I don't think I can handle that. But it was kind of cool being like, oh, I actually know that. I know that planet, but just from the beginning
I know.
of
As soon as he said Baraka, I was
Fallen
like,
Order,
oh.
yeah. It's like, oh, I know that one.
Right.
I know him.
Oh,
Yep.
Mike says, would you catch Kaz?
Yes. So
That was instant, Maddie.
Would you
I
consider
want
Bad
to
Batch?
be I want to be Hunter so badly. I for whatever reason, for those of you who follow me on social media, on TikTok, and see my cosplays, I am drawn to the dark-haired men who are like constantly questioning their lives. And as much as I'm attracted to them, I become them. And like the minute I saw Hunter and like the way he interacted with Omega, I was like, Hunter, I need to be Hunter, but I cannot. Monica, me too. Like I cannot make foam armor yet. I'm not there in my skill set, but it would be a goal for like next year's Star Wars Celebration or even later.
You got some time.
I do have plenty of time. And I have friends who are really good at
farm.
I can do what? You cut out, I'm sorry.
His little farm outfit from his the outfit from Cut and Run. When
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
The-
that's true.
his outfit
Yeah.
from the second episode when they go farm
I could.
outfit.
I could. I just need to learn how to do the makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard can it be to just splash some black eyeshadow all over the side of my face, right, and spray it so it sets? I become them. Yeah, So that's. I know that was a really quick answer, but that's my plan.
I don't know. I think it's
I
like,
feel
yeah,
like
it's the armor. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Go on.
I'm working on an armor build.
Oh,
If
good.
Omega has some armor later down the line, I could see maybe doing one for like her armor, but I'd have to see what the design is like if I like it. So
Right.
Yeah.
Until
I
it gets in
know.
your eye. Yeah, Monica, that's true.
it's all a lot of armor.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen already. There is a guy who does 3D, and he's already done. I think at least helmets and some of the armor. So I don't know, but
I think it would be kind of cool for you, Elizabeth. This just popped into my head to do an Omega and an Omega mashup, like the Doctor Who Omega and the Star Wars Omega mashed up cosplay.
I love a good mashup.
Somehow, like, because every time they said Omega, like for the first couple episodes, all I could think of was Doctor Who. And then I was like, all right, now whenever I hear Omega, I think of the Bad Batch because it's so ingrained. But it's, I don't know. That just popped into my head.
yeah.
Do it.
First classic Who I watched was The Five Doctors, where Omega is in that, and I was just like, oh, my internet's acting again.
That's okay. I do have to get going, my friends. It was
probably
great.
wrap this up. We've been going for
Yeah.
but and my internet started. Yeah. But
Alrighty.
we covered.
This
a
was
lot.
a lot of
I mean,
fun,
there's
though.
a lot to talk
Yeah.
about, and even though there was like a ton of plot to A lot happened. There's still a lot that they've set up. You know, who knows where they're going with it. It'll be exciting to
Warp,
see.
pew pew. Yep. Warp, pew pew. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our like sci-fi loves all wrapped up into 5 words.
Yep.
Love it.
All right. Yes. Thanks for the chat. Uh-oh, Elizabeth's frozen, but
Thank
talk
you.
about timing.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. And oh, there you go. You're not frozen anymore.
Yeah, my
That's
Giving
okay.
you the hook.
That's all right. All right.
my internet is really starting to have some trouble.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
So I am.
Good to talk with you.
So thanks everybody for joining us. For talking about bad. Hope everybody had fun. We'll talk again. More Star Wars. Bye.